join me in welcoming Mayor Melvin Carter.
Welcome to St. Paul. Welcome to the Capitol. I'm sorry, it's not the Capitol. Welcome to your Capitol. You know, I used to spend some time, I used to be on the St. Paul City Council. I spent 6 years on the St. Paul City Council. And every now and then people would come and they'd say, can we come to the meetings? Are the meetings public? And I would tell them, you pay the rent here. I got some bad news for you and I got some good news for you. I'm going to give you the bad news first. Right now, it's a unique time in our country. Right now, our progressive values are under attack. Right now, we're having to fight for some of our most basic rights. To marry who we choose, to live in peace where and how we want, to just be able to do this, organize and form a union, to keep our schools safe, to just make our own health care decisions and go to the doctor when we're sick. Our values are under attack. And even the most basic value, dating all the way back to the Boston Tea Party, our ability to speak up and protest when we say we don't believe in the direction that something is going, even that is under attack. But I told you I have good news too, right? Here's the good news. One thing that I've learned about America, dating all the way back to the founding, is when you try to silence the voices of protest, when you try to silence the voices of people, of families, of young people, of workers, when you try to silence the voices of Americans, those voices only get louder. That's right. So I'm counting on you. I am counting on you. I've told many of you the story about how I first got involved in politics. I was a student at Florida A&M University in the capital city of Florida. We were going to vote on Election Day in 2000. You remember Election Day 2000? You remember Florida and hanging chads? We were on our way to vote. I wasn't super involved in politics at the time. I remember thinking, I'll probably go vote after class if I get time to. I was living with my older brother, my brother-in-law, my sister, and their 2-year-old daughter. My brother looked at me and he said, everyone living here is gonna vote today. And so I went and I voted. My brother-in-law and so many of our classmates got turned away from the polls. This is all I'm trying to say. I got involved in politics because that was a moment that I knew my children would one day learn about. And I knew that my children would look at a history book one day and they would say, wait a minute, this happened in Florida. And they'd say, Dad, weren't you going to college in Florida at the time? And you know what they'd ask me? They'd say, what did you do? And that's a question I'm familiar with because when I was a young person and I read about Freedom Summer and I read about the Civil Rights era, I would look at my parents and my grandparents and ask them, what did you do? And I knew in that moment that it wouldn't be good enough for me to tell my children about a study that I had read or about a report that I had written. I wouldn't even actually be able to tell them about just a rally that I had attended. I'd have to tell them how I took action. All I'm trying to say, and I get out of the way, is that this is a moment that demands action. This is a moment that our children will ask us about. This is a moment our grandchildren will ask about. In the face of people trying to divide us, in the face of a national narrative that's trying to convince us that we're the problem, what did you do? And there is nothing more American. There is nothing more divine than people who look different, who talk different, who pray different, who worship different religions and practice different cultures at home, coming together to say the people united will what? Coming together to say yes we can, coming together to say we're stronger together, coming together to say, as Martin Luther King once said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And as our Paul Wellstone said, we all do better when we all do better. I'm excited about Minnesota. So in the context of everything that's going on, I'm excited about Minnesota. You know why? Because I know that if and when somebody forgets whose house this is, you'll be here to say what? I know that when it comes time to talk about our freedoms, our health care, our just basic civil liberties, I know that you'll be here to talk to our legislators. I know you'll be here to talk to your neighbors. I know you'll be here to door knock. I know you'll be here to make sure that we lift the voices of people in Minnesota. Can I count on you? Yeah. Can we count on you? Yeah. Will you be here? Yeah. Whose house is this? You know what I've learned? This is the last thing I'll say and I'll get out of your way. We are here, and we have unions in the house. Is that right? And you know what? When I think about labor rights, and when I think about human rights, and when I think about women's rights, and when I think about civil rights, you know what all those movements have in common, right? Unions. And so when people try to divide us, we know that unions are one of the critical tools for how we say we are united. We are together. We stand together. And we know that the people united shall never be defeated. Thanks for being here. Let's keep up the fight. Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Melvin Carter! Thank you, Mayor Carter, and thank all of you for being here today. Now, I know that Mayor Carter is not the only elected official who has joined us today and has decided to stand with working people today. So if you are a candidate standing with working people, if you are an elected official standing with working people here today, you raise your hand while the rest of us give you a big labor movement thank you.